Okay, multiplication in scientific notation. And we're asked to multiply these 2 times 10 to the third times 4 times 10 to the fourth. Now I want to show you what I'm going to do here, and I want to make sure that I'm not confusing you any more than I'm confusing myself. We have this idea here. Let's just, if you don't mind, can we just look at this for a second? Say 2 times 3 times 4, just as an idea. This has nothing to do with this problem, but I just want to show you this. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. So given all 6 ways that I could possibly multiply these numbers together, I can commute them. I can move. There's this commutative property of multiplication. This is not distribution, but I can rearrange them. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to rearrange it. I'm going to take the 2 times the 4, and then I'm going to take the 10 to the third times the 10 to the fourth. And if you're asking me why I'm doing that, the simple answer is because it's convenient for me. 2 times 4 is 8. Now remember, we have to leave this in scientific notation. So 10 to the third times 10 to the fourth is 10 to the seventh. So we have to take a look here. This is A. So A has to be greater than or equal to 1, but less than 10. So I'm going to take this 8 and say, is that true? 8 is greater than or equal to 1? Yes. And it's less than 10? Yes. And then we have to have, so it's A times 10 to the nth. And we know that 10 to the third times 10 to the fourth is 10 to the seventh. So here's our answer for this one. All right, let's try another one. Let's try another one really quick. And this one looks like this. It's 6 times 10 to the fifth, 7 times 10 to the sixth. And hopefully you can see what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this 6 and do 6 times this. Wow, I said 6 and I wrote 7. 6 times this 7 times the 10 to the fifth times the 10 to the sixth. Well, this looks really good at the beginning because 6 times 7 is 42. That makes sense. And 42 times 10 to the fifth times 10 to the sixth is 10 to the 11th, isn't it? But remember, this value in front, if we're using scientific notation, is called A, and A has got to be greater than 1. And that works out good because 42 is greater than 1, but it's not less than 10, is it? So this is not true. So we have to change this. So we have a decimal point right here. We're going to move the decimal point over to 1, and we have 4.2. So 4.2, just so you know, is 10 times smaller than 42. So what we have to do is put not 10 to the 11th, but we have to, put times 10, and 10 to the 11th times 10 to the first is 10 to the 12th. All right? So scientific notation. Let's do one more really quickly to see, and I hope this is helping you. This one is 5.5 times 10 to the 7th times 4.2 times 10 to the 9th. Oh, that's 10 to the 4th, sorry. 10 to the 4th, I guess. I'm going to do the same thing we did the last time. This is the way I do it every time. I'm going to take my 5, right, this one, times this 4.2. And the reason I'm putting it in parentheses like this is because these decimal points are going to start to confuse me if I'm not careful. Times 10 to the 7th times 10 to the 4th. Well, to make a long story short, 5.5 times 4.2 is 23.1. And 10 to the 7th times 10 to the 4th is 10 to the 11th, right? So 10 to the 11th. But look at this for a second. Can you see what's happening here? This is too big, isn't it? So we have to make this smaller. We have to make this smaller, so it's going to be 2.31. And 2.31 times 10 is our 23.1, isn't it? Just because I want you to know, I'm not changing the value, I'm just putting it in different places. Times 10 times 10 to the 11th, which we already had waiting. Well, 10 times 10 to the 11th is 10 to the 12th, right? Okay? So there's some work. I think we've done a pretty good job. So what did I do here? My whole plan is to take these numbers in the front and multiply them. And then these are called base 10s. And then I multiply my base 10 times each other separately. All right? I really hope this is helpful. This stuff is important for lots of reasons, especially if you're going to be a doctor or a chemist, possibly a biologist, or an aerospace engineer, frankly. The other reason it's important is because this stuff shows up on the SAT. So do a good job. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Oh, looking forward to your comments.